What is up, YouTube? Today we're back with a Guild War video, not a Guild War banger, but kind of. It's going to be a Guild War defense video. A lot of you guys always be blowing up my comments, my DMs, my Discord, my stream about needing a new Guild War defense video. So you ask and I deliver. And I also do want to take a moment to thank you, El Dorado, for sponsoring this video. More to come later in the video regarding that. However, we're going to be breaking down 8 defenses in this video. Some of them are going to cover Renak, Arunka, since the meta has shifted quite a little bit. And I'm going to show you guys how you can build them, how to abuse them, how to farm some shields. Now, I cannot guarantee results, but I can promise you they will work in any rank across the board. Now, one thing I do want you to remember, though, is if you're a fort versus a small tower, philosophy is going to be a little bit different. So pay attention in the video to get all of that. But without further ado, drop a like, comment for the algorithm, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys with our first defense. All right, so for the first defense, it's going to be one of the most popular defenses in the, I think, overall across all servers, regardless of like Korea, Asia, global, Japan. It's a really strong defense, and there's going to be a couple different variations that are kind of the best to go with. And so Renak, the first variation is going to be just like a top speed, high damage Renak. Now, in case you are thinking of using this variation, Discreet Hands is very good. Some other notable artifacts you can go for with this specific variation is maybe like RNL. So I think it's called Rihanna and Luciana or something like that. I don't think I have the artifact anymore since I sold it. But yeah, you can run that instead of this artifact if you have it. And we will be featuring Boss Arunka in the front on Rocket Punch, on counter and immunity. Now, one of the reasons why immunity is the most important is because you want to make sure that if they bring some kind of like defense breakers, right? Let's just say they have Firefly, for example. If they go have like some kind of like Soulburn S3, they can just defense break you and make you really easy to kill. So you want to avoid that lose condition very early on in your defense, and you do want to be counter with effectiveness on this defense. Now, the unit that you're going to be pairing with these two is going to be Empyrean Ilanav. Most commonly, you're going to be having on like a Destruction pen build on Elbrus, and the whole premise of this comp basically is your Renax is going to be taking a lot of tempo. It threatens the first turn. Arunka forces them to hit her. If they hit her and they don't have immunity, they get defense broken, or on S3, obviously there's a strip, and they get defense broken. You know, Ilanav is going to be doing a shit ton of damage, right? I'm going to throw up a damage calculator on screen right now, where if it's on a death broken target, this Ilanav is going to do so much damage that it might not be recoverable. So it's really important to make sure you have Elbrus and you have effectiveness on the Arunka. A complete ER Arunka is not going to be that good or impactful with this defense. Now, this is going to cover variation number 1. We're going to re-gear this, and I'm going to show you variation number 2 in just a moment here. All right, so for variation number 2 of this defense, it's going to be Renak on a very similar build. Now, you're going to be running Beguiling Wings this time. Now, the reason why you go Beguiling Wings is basically when you miss a crit, obviously Renak cannot crit on some of her abilities. If you weren't aware, her S1 can't crit, S3 can't crit, right? So basically you have a guaranteed proc rate of Beguiling Winds to take souls away from the enemy team. And why is this artifact useful? Is because obviously you are able to take souls away. And one of the most common offenses that people are using, that I think most popularly, like I saw KHM use it on stream, is when it really got popular, when he was doing his Guild War attacks like maybe 2 weeks ago. That's when everyone basically started running this offense, right? And so you want to make sure that you're on Beguiling Wings so that you can take souls away from the enemy team. And you're going to be going with Boss Arunka, who's going to be on Crown of Glory. And the reason why you're going to be going with Crown of Glory is because you're going to be soul burning S1 as Sylvian Sage, right, with the Amid. So you're basically taking away the souls from Crown of Glory, and more importantly, you're going to be taking away souls with the Renak, so they can't soul burn to get your Renak out of the game immediately, right? So you're basically allowing your Renak to kind of tempo up and just live longer and longer and try to cycle to another S3 as possible. Now, For the Ilnav, you can have it on the same build from the previous variation, or other notable artifacts you can run is you could go for, say, Rise of a Monarch, so that you can get more shields, as Renak is typically going to be the lowest HP target on your team. So the Rise of the Monarch is going to give your Renak actually a little bit more survivability if you do run this artifact. You could go Aureus, you could go Protset, you could go Tank Renak. I mean, the opportunities or the options are endless. It really just depends on how creative you want to get. If you lose one war, you can see what people use into the your defense. Change it, as I always say in these videos, right? So make the adjustments as you find necessary. But this is going to be the first team with the 2 variations that I'll be including, and we're going to be moving over to defense number 2 of the video. I want to give a big thank you to today's sponsor, Eldorado. Eldorado is a safe and easy trading store where you can purchase things like game items, currency, and even accounts. And it's actually super simple to use. It's as easy as just picking the game that you like, searching for what you actually want, and using the filters. So in this case, I can do Twisted Bow, or I can even look for Inquisitor armor. And I can see exactly the costs of the items. And boom, there you go. And Eldorado actually points you to a bunch of trusted sellers. And no, you don't need to worry about scams. Eldorado guarantees all trades are legit and keeps you safe from annoying scammers. So big thank you to Eldorado for sponsoring this video. Go check out Eldorado by clicking on the link in the description, and you can even use my discount code vikchun for 5% off. Thank you, Eldorado, once again, and back to the video. All right, so for defense number 2, it's going to feature Arunca, Ruel, and Harsetti. So Harsetti is going to be on a standard injury build on Fairy Tale for a Nightmare. Some other notable artifacts that you can go for is probably Magic Bubble Maker. That one is pretty solid as well if you don't have this. If you want to go for another artifact, you could try to go for like Abyssal Crown potentially. But I think Magic Bubble Maker is going to be second best in slot behind Fairy Tale for a Nightmare. And you want to just have her on a standard injury HP build. Some of the injury gear that's from the Arena Pass is very helpful, or from a previous Arena season will also be very helpful, so make note of that. And then the second unit is going to be Ruel. So Ruel is going to be on Proof of Friendship on injury and HP. And I'll explain why. You're probably thinking like, what the fuck? Like, injury Ruel? Like, what the hell is this, right? Yeah, there's a good reason for it. Then we're going to be going with Boss Arunca, who's going to be on triple HP set on Proof of Valor. So the most common answer into this defense at the current moment is going to be Young Senya, Iseria, plus Dark Corvus. That's the most common answer, and you're basically trapping for this, right? This defense inherently, if you're just on standard RTA Arunca build, speed set Ruel, this is going to be completely shit. This is useless, okay? The reason why you want Arunca on triple HP set, you could go Prot set if you want. Prot set will give you 12% barrier, so at like 36k-ish, you'll probably be around like 39.5k on a Prot set with proof, so you even have higher survivability odds. So if you really want to min-max it, you could go for that. But basically, you want to be Proof of Valor here to minimize the damage that Dark Corvus, Silver, and S3 can do. And then you are running Proof of Friendship, so you're giving an extra 10% HP to the frontline unit, being Boss Arunca. And the injury is here so that you can injure down the Dark Corvus very quickly. And then Harsetti obviously has injury as well built in, and then Fairy Tale chip damage. So as soon as Dark Corvus is no longer to kill the Arunca, the game is basically over. It's a free shield, right? So I would highly recommend this for people that are playing like a small tower. I don't think this is great for big towers. It really is, like, once you get scouted, you're just fucking dead, basically, right? So if you're on a small tower, I highly recommend you maybe giving this one a try if you're not planning on using Ruel or Harsetti. If you're pre-banning them, this is a very nice sneaky one at that. But that's defense number 2, and we're going to be going on to DC number 3. All right, so for defense number 3, it's going to be Boss Arunca, Ilanab, and Harsetti. I think a lot of the defense that we're showcasing so far, you're probably thinking, oh wow, Boss Arunca is in every single defense. This is a Boss Arunca video. No, there will be some defenses a bit later on where it's not going to feature Boss Arunca, I promise you, okay? So Boss Arunca on this build is going to be on a counter immunity build. So for all of you RTA frogs that are just looking for like a really like easy defense, really like not investing a lot of gold, you can just swap this over from Rocket Punch over to Holy Sacrifice, and it will work just fine. And then Empyrean Ilanab is also going to be on Holy Sacrifice on Prot and Immunity. You can do this on Destro Pen. You can do this on... You can basically run this on any build, right? As long as you're on Holy Sac, damage is going to be a little bit more impactful. Prot set is just as fine as well to give you more survivability. It's completely up to you. Okay, completely up to you. Now, the most important character is just going to be Harsetti here with Fairy Tale for Nightmare, because you're going to be running the injury variation. So you're basically chipping them down slowly. You're putting the S3, the 2k fixed damage comes in really clutch. And if they decide to run like FCC into you, you're still going to be doing a ton of damage, since you can apply unbuffables. You're going to be doing chip damage. Injury is going to be working. Illinaf has injury. You could potentially get defense. You can defense break the FCC if they don't have ER from the Arunka. It makes this defense really annoying to fight against. And if they go like Young Senya into you, they are also going to be pushing your Arunka and your Illinap. And it's just really hard to deal with the double Holy Sack, because it's not like you're going to be able to run like a Briar team here, right? So it makes it really, really annoying to fight against. So highly recommend you give this one a try if you want to be super cringe and you have double Holy Sack. If you don't have double Holy Sack, maybe you have two, you just have one max and 115. You can still try that. But if you only have one Holy Sacrifice, this one might not be that great, because it is pretty reliant on the double Holy Sack just being really, really annoying to deal with. But, give this one a try and let me know how it fares. And if you get shields, great. If not, try a different one. Okay, so for defense number 4, it's going to feature Arunka again, but I promise you the remaining defenses in this video will not have Arunka. There's also going to be Empyrean Illinab on this defense, so we're going to be going with Boss Arunka, who is going to be on double effectiveness and immunity. Once again, a common theme when you're running Boss Arunka on defense, always the philosophy is you have to have immunity, as you need to make sure she stays immune, obviously. Very, very important, so that she doesn't get defense broken or anything annoying like that. Holy Sack is going to be your artifact of choice to make sure she can come back. And then we're going to be running Empyrean Illinab, who's going to be on Aureus on Prot set. Now, again, you could do this on Destruction, on like Rise of a Monarch. You could do like a speed Illinab at like 260 speed, something along the lines of like this. Would be completely fine as well if you want to, like 260, you could do this. Basically, almost any Illinab works. I think Prot set Aureus and Speed Aureus are going to be your best bet, or Speed Rise of a Monarch are going to be your best builds. Then you're going to be going with Abyssal Euphine on 3F on speed and HP. You're not going to want to go for immunity set, because you really don't need the immunity since you have Boss Arunka covering you. And you're going to be going for 3F in case they do decide to run like MLK into you. You have mitigation, you have lower crit chance, so it's not bad. And the 3F really catches some people off guard, because you're basically cycling really fast, and it's really difficult to cleave this team reliably, because if you do go for, say, Briar, for example, if you run a speed Illinab, I mean, you just win the game immediately, right? You can just cleanse. So it's really, really disruptive, since you have the combat readiness disrupt from the Abyssal Euphine passive. And eventually they just lose when they try to bring any form of cleave, of like a Briar cleave or a Luna cleave. It's just way too much to deal with. So definitely give this a try if you have these units, if you have the limited artifact in 3F. If you don't, you might need a rack. But like I said, defenses 5, 6, 7, and 8 will not feature Boss Arunka, so we're going to go right over there right now. Okay, so for defense number 5, it is going to feature Renak, Dragon King Sharoon, and Dragon Bride Senya. So Renak is going to be on just like a traditional build. Now, if you ask me, Vic, do I have to be 316? No, you can be 280, 290, 300, 250, 260, 270. Doesn't matter, okay? As long as you have the Renak moving first in this comp, it's perfectly fine. Even if you don't have this moving first, let's say you go Sharoon first into Renak, obviously it's going to be very troll, right? Because you missed the cascade damage. So you can't, right? Just to clarify. Anyhow, Renak is going to be on a just like a fast build, high attack, discreet hands. RNL will be fine as well. You're going to be going with Dragon King Sharoon as the second character, who is going to be on speed and immunity. You can go for effectiveness. You can go for a faster build at like 270. It really doesn't matter. You just want to make sure that this can bridge. So you don't want to be like 180, 190, 200 if you don't bridge the Renak to the Sharoon, as you gain 40% combat readiness, right? So just want to make sure you're able to cut to the front of the line, basically. And Sacred Tree Branch is good if you want to go for other artifacts like Proof of Friendship, so that you can actually increase the HP of the Dragon Bride Sanya in the front for more damage and CR push, since that's your only form of way of pushing the Dragon Bride Senya forward. You can. So you make it look something like this with Proof of Friendship and high effectiveness. And then you're going to be going with Dragon Bride Senya, who's going to be on speed, HP, and on 3F. Other notable artifacts: Holy Sacrifice. Obviously, you don't really want to go Bastion of Perlucia, as Renak basically takes 2 turns immediately, so you're just losing immense value from turn 1, right? And the whole comp here is basically Renak moves, Sharoon moves, Senya moves, and you're just throwing all your damage out. And if they bring any form of like counters into the Renak, you can basically just gut them right away, right? Some people might run like a Miki, and then Miki counters you, you instantly proc Bride's Resolve, and then you just drop an S3, and you're just doing a lot of damage with 3F. So this is like a really, really overwhelming comp, since with Proof of Friendship, you're basically looking at like almost like a 40k HP Senya with 3F. So it is going to be a lot of damage, and if people are going to be bringing things like Empyrean Illinath to try to counteract the Bride Senya, typically you are going to be able to win that, since Renak will be able to get more rotations as the game goes forward. So give this defense a try and let me know how it goes. On to defense number 6. Okay, so for the next defense number 6, this is going to be Lone Wolf, Peyra, Mort, and Fire Flan. Now, in this defense, instead of showing you guys the exact builds as I have been for the past 5 defenses, we're going to talk a little bit more about like the theory of the defense, because this defense is very intricate and there's a lot of different variations that you can run. Like off the top of my head, like 5 different variations that you can run, just because it's so good to use for trapping specific attacks. So Peyra, one of the great things about Peyra is obviously she has release attack imprint for Flan. And the other thing about Peyra is she has obviously a lot of tempo. She gives Swift Boots. She can be run on so many different artifacts, right? Warhorn, Uberius Tooth, Sweet Miracle. There's a lot of different artifacts that you can go for. Champion's Trophy, Spirit Purification. There's the options are honestly endless, right? And so that's why Lone Wolf Peyra, it makes it a very, very good unit to bring with, because in my previous Guild War defense video, and if you guys haven't watched that yet, I'll put it on screen, we talked about, trapping, Benimaru, and obviously you can use Lone Wolf Peyra again to trap Benimaru, because she takes an extra turn. Benimaru goes first without his buff, multi-layer barrier. I mean, he just is eating dog, right? So the premise is basically Lone Wolf Peyra can be built on so many different ways. She can be base speed, she can be top speed, she can be on 5-6 different artifacts depending on how you want to play this. So I really leave it to your creativity in terms of how you want to actually build Lone Wolf Peyra for this defense. But the combination of these 3 characters is very strong, because Mort, also another thing that he does is he has a defense break that ignores ER if he has higher HP than the opposing team, which is obviously super problematic, because he puts in another level of RNG onto the field, right? He can counter, he can put a defense break, he can switch up the aggro, he can counter into an S3 and kill a target, he can fear them for 2 turns, he can be on Holy Sacrifice. He's really, really, really disruptive, right? And he can also be put on like Bastion of Perlucia if you're buff stacking for the Fire Flan. There's a lot of different builds that you can go for. He can even go 3F. He can be injury, just like in my last Guild War video where, they had an injury Mort, which was injuring down my team slowly, and I just couldn't win. All right. Again, Knight, Holy Sack threat, defense break threat, counter RNG threat. Any type of build will work. If he's on a speed build, if he's on an injury build, if he's on a Destro build, any single form of Mort is going to work. But obviously, you're typically going to want him to have like really high HP, because if you don't, then obviously you can't ignore ER. So just, keep that at the back of your mind, right? Now, Flan obviously is going to be a really annoying character as well, because she is one of those characters that she can be on a lot of different artifacts, right? Dreamlike Holiday, Bloodstone, she can be on Guiding Light, she can be on Counter Set, she can be on Destruction Set, she can be on Lifesteal Set, she can be on Speed Set. Like, she can be on Triple Set, right? Like Torrent, Immunity, Pen Set. Like, so there's a lot of different build variations that all 3 characters can build with, or that can be built, which makes this defense like really hard to guess, right? You can't just look at this defense and think, oh, I'm just gonna Benimaru it, or like, oh, I'm gonna run like LRK Solitaria, or I'm gonna try to cleave it with like Luna, or like I'm gonna try to like Briar cleave it, right? Because you simply can't, right? Every single offense that somebody brings into this is going to have a slight lose condition. So that's why this defense is really, really, really strong. And if you have the 3 of them, I highly recommend you give it a go. And this is going to be very fort friendly. I know in some defenses I've talked about them being specifically just for like small towers, but in even big towers, this will be a really, really strong defense. Give this one a try, and we're going to move over to defense number 7. All right, so for defense number 7, this is going to be featuring Litica, Briarwitch Hysteria, and Bloodblade Karin. Now, this defense is very tricky. I probably am thinking what you're thinking. You're thinking, Vic, I'm just going to Zeo Caval this shit. This is free. There's 2 immortal units. I'm going to ruck his ass. All right. No, you're not. So, first unit is going to be Litica. We're going to be running her on Guiding Light. We're going to have her on Speed HP set. You don't have to be 316. If you're 300, 290, 270, doesn't matter. You just want to be like kind of bulky and have a little bit of speed. That's the premise of this comp, right? I just have her at 316 for like RTA, obviously, but you don't have to be this fast, okay? You just want to make sure you're on Guiding Light and you're like relatively tanky. You don't want to be like 900 defense or some BS like that, okay? Now, Briarwitch Assyria is going to be on Protection Set, Guiding Light, and HP. So we're going to be running 27.6k so that we have a barrier to be provided to our BBK. And our BBK is going to be on Proof of Valor, Counter, and HP set. And the whole premise of this comp is you're basically baiting for the person to bring Zeo, Veronica, and Cavill into you. Because obviously BBK has the threat of countering, right? They can counter if the obviously the Litica is a speed threat, and Cavill cannot actually proc. He can't do enough damage to the Iseria and the Litica, which is going to be like really problematic. It is really, really reliant on your Bloodblade Corinne actually countering. So, do you have to be on this type of tank build? No. You could be on like a full nuke build, like a full nuke counter build, like something like this, like a full nuke counter build, if you wanted to do that. So just try to kill the Veronica on turn 1. That's also a pretty decent win condition since it's basically 30%. And if Veronica gets cut, then that means the comp completely falls apart, right? They have no way of dealing with the immortality, and then you just cut in front of them, and then it's completely over. But the premise is basically you want to go double Guiding Light, and then you run any type of annoying build that you can come up with on BBK. Is going to be very, very nice. Now, another thing I want to point out is yes, it can be easily Zeo'd if they have a tank Veronica or if they have a really, really, really best in the world Commander Pavel. But one of the things about Guild War defense is that you have two defenses. And so if you're able to have one defense that is baiting for Zeo, and then the second defense that you have also looks very nice to run Zeo as well, right? For example, if you have like Renac plus 2 squishy units, then Zeo also looks very favorable in that defense as well. So I don't want you to think like, oh, this defense is really easy to be, beaten by so and so. Always think about it. If I have this defense on defense 1, defense number 2 is also going to work together. They're working together to beat the opposing player attacking your defenses, right? It's not just a 1-to-1 every single time. So keep that in mind when you're building this defense and you're using the second defense to try to trap something with Zeo as well, so you can get some easy shields. And again, this defense, I will say, is more for a small tower, not so much for a fort. Just FYI, in case you are wondering. But yeah, that is defense number 7. And on to the last one, it will be defense number 8. So let's get over there right now. So for our last defense of the video, it's going to be Lone Wolf Para, Fireflan, and BBK. So this one is a little bit more of a noob stomper. So if you're in like lower rank guilds, I think you can probably give this a go. Lone Wolf Para is going to be on a top speed build on Warhorn and Release Imprint for maximum damage for the rest of the team. Obviously, you're going to S3 and then you're going to boost S1 for the Fireflan, who's going to be on a speed build, speed, and pen on Dreamlike Holiday. And you're going to be basically boosting the BBK to move forward. Hopefully they don't have immunity, and then speed and torrent on Alexis Basket to just one-shot the enemy team. Now, for this defense, I do want to say a little bit of theory is that you don't have to have these builds on fast builds. You can put it on like slower builds, like all tank builds, Guiding Light Flans, Sweet Miracle Para, Spirit Purification to bait for Luna, because this defense does look very, Luna-able. If they go like Luna, Frida, Ludwig, if you can make your Para, put it on Spirit Purification, you can trap that as well. It would be very good. So it really just depends on, what people are bringing to your defense to try to beat you, and just try to, make adjustments accordingly as you can view your own defense log, but not other people's defense logs nowadays. So use that to your advantage. That is going to be defense number 8, and we're going to be concluding. So we'll move on to something a little bit further to close out the video. Alrighty, so that's going to do it for today's Guild War defense video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please give these a try and let me know how they do in whatever guild that you're in. And once again, thank you so much to Eldorado for sponsoring this video. Please do go ahead and give a try to using the platform for whatever games, whatever items, whatever accounts that you're looking for. It's a super safe platform, and I promise you won't regret it. And until next time, Hopefully, I'll catch you in a stream or in the next video. But regardless, like, comment for the algorithm, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!